Good afternoon and welcome to the subcommittee meeting for the technical assistance of the Governor's Interagency Advisory Council on Homelessness to Housing. This meeting has been publicly noticed and in compliance with Nevada's open meeting law. Chair Michelle Fuller-Hellauer will call the meeting to order.
Good afternoon. It is 1:02 on June 17th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting of the Nevada Interagency Council on Homelessness to Housing Subcommittee for Technical Assistance to order. Carlia, would you call roll?
Of course. Chairwoman Michelle Fuller-Hellauer.
Present.
Vice Chair Brooke Page.
I'm here.
Austin Pollard.
Present.
Dr. Pamela Janelle. Chris Murphy.
Present.
Adrian Babbitt. Adrian Babbitt. Julie King.
I know Adrian's here.
Dr. Diana Turner.
I'm here.
Dr. Katrina Grigsby Thetford.
Here.
Right, Madam Chairwoman, we have quorum.
Thank you. Were you able to get Adrian's attendance?
She can't hear us for some reason. She's having technical difficulties.
Madam Chairwoman, Dr. Pam Janelle, for the record, I'm present. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Janelle. Could somebody message Adrian and maybe ask her to log out and log back in? Maybe that will help with her technology issue.
Yes, I'll hear her right now.
Oh.
I don't want to go into all the gory details about what happened. Right?
You there, Adrian?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We are all here. Welcome, everybody. Okay, thank you. We will go on with our agenda. Agenda item number 2 is public comment. No action may be taken upon a matter raised until the matter has been specifically added to the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. If you're making public comment via phone, please call 1-775-321-6111. The ID number is 489-058-294#. We are now open for public comment. Please unmute yourself and state your name for the council. Any public comment? I'm not seeing anybody come off mute. Okay. Carlia, did we have anybody send in any written comment?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And seeing no public comment, we'll go ahead and close this first public comment. There is another public comment at the end of the meeting. If somebody misses this first public comment, we will go ahead and move on to agenda item number 3. This is for possible action, discussion and possible approval of minutes from May 20th, 2025. Those minutes should be in your invite in your calendar for your review and approval. If If there's any discussion or corrections, edits that need to be made, now is the time to voice those. We're open for any comment or discussion on those minutes. If there is none, then I will receive a motion for approval.
This is Brooke Page for the record. I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Brooke. We have a motion to approve. May I have a second?
Dr. Janelle for the record, I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please unmute yourself and indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, please unmute yourself and indicate by saying nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. We'll close agenda item number 3 and move on to agenda item number 4. This is also for possible action, discussion and possible vote to fill the vacant seats with candidates who have submitted their applications. I will defer to staff for this agenda item, although I believe we have not had any applications since our last meeting. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so since there are no applications for us to discuss and possibly vote upon, we will go ahead and close this agenda item and move on to the next agenda item. Agenda item number 5, for information only, report back on the statewide COC biannual meeting that occurred on May 20th, 2025. And I believe that we have Brenda Barnes here to give us a report back on that meeting. Brenda, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for including me today. Katrina Peters from our Northern COC was hoping to make it, but as you know, we get busy and we have to divide and conquer. So thank you for having us. I say us because Michelle joins those calls as well. Some of the things that we recently discussed, we did discuss the Interagency Council on Homelessness. Michelle shared the need for potential applicants to join this working group. I think the Northern COC is already set up or is in the middle of setting up a time for presentations so that we can continue to spread the good work that this working group is doing. We are also looking to see when we can include this same presentation to our Southern Nevada Homelessness COC board members as well, to help drive some of that leadership and participation into this working group. We also prioritize discussing our statewide meeting goals and what that group composition looks like and how do we get really broad participation while also not duplicating efforts. And we really want to make sure that we are complementing this group. You guys prioritize and drive a lot of the movement, and to use Michelle's word, I hear her use the word synergy, but a lot, and I love that word. But so that's been kind of a big topic for us as well, to make sure that we're supporting and complementing the work that you do. We discussed including regional behavioral health providers. I think that was one of our #1 priorities, making sure COC leadership was included, the board chairs. And then kind of historically, as most of you know, I've been in my position, I think, about 1.5 years now. And so sharing some of the historical practices that we used to do. So we're trying to re-elevate meeting twice a year. And we're really excited that we will be meeting as a statewide COC leadership group October 14th, right before the Nevada Housing Coalition Conference here in Southern Nevada in Las Vegas. So really excited to kind of come together and work and see each other. Love seeing the claps. Thank you. To really kind of strengthen our entire state with COC collaboration and open discussions. And so really excited about that. But if there's anything that you need from us, or you want to make sure that we're elevating in the work that we're doing, please don't hesitate to shoot Michelle an email, and then she can make sure that the statewide conversations can include it as well. Some of the current COC hot topics that we've been discussing, everyone's favorite hot topic is the implementation of the executive orders. We've been slowly receiving the grant agreements, the grant awards from HUD with that new language. It does include, immigration and some of the things that we have to make sure we're careful about avoiding in our verbiage, things like that, gender identity, maybe removing that, and things of that nature. And so we're continuing to work statewide, of course, on that, and ensuring that our HMIS data isn't going to put anyone in a bad position and that they can't use our HMIS data for anything negative, really, is kind of just that overall. And then we have been reaching out. We submitted some AAQs, but our HMIS statewide lead has also done some conversational research in regards to what those immigration elements look like. And so really making sure that we have some high guidance and that we're not asking specific data elements, and we're really making sure that we're serving everyone appropriately across the board in federal funding, and then using flexible funding for the ones that can't make it into certain programs. But waiting for more information on that. And then wanted to highlight Wing Wolf's been doing a lot of advocacy work for, I'm going to say for us statewide, but doing a lot of advocacy work with Senator Cortez Masto's office in this arena. So we thank her for that. In regards to HMIS, it's been a long time coming, but finalizing some of those documents and getting some updated user agreements, the cost of licenses and what that cost burden looks like has been a big topic for us, and really making sure that we keep those at the forefront. I think moving forward, we're really getting a good balance of licenses, but I feel like licenses are like that golden nugget at the end of the rainbow that everyone's trying to hold on to. And so it's just something that we recognize as a statewide need, and figuring how we can make sure that we're leveraging those. YHDP is coming on board for Southern Nevada, and so we found some opportunities to utilize YHDP funding opportunities to cover the programs and the agencies that fall under that work, and that'll free up quite a bit of licenses as well. And so different areas across the state working on how we can get creative with that need. And then we're also kind of talking about a data quality plan and what that could look like across the state for everyone. The Hick and Pit, that planning is underway for next year. January 29th, 2026 will be at this time, I think is the designated point in time count and housing inventory count for next year. So mark your calendars, plan to volunteer, help support us all across the entire state so that we can really have an amazing pit count again. And then of course we all got our Hick counts in January 13th, I think, Friday the 13th. So waiting for, any kind of kickback and questions that HUD likes to do in asking about why things are the way they are. Other than that, I think some of the last updates, I think that was it. I'm going through my notes, so I apologize that I am making sure I missed anything, but I think that covers everything. Michelle, you were there. If I missed anything, I'll turn it over to you to fill the gaps.
Thank you, Brenda. Brenda, just to clarify, because I know the big question that will probably come up is, when is the data from the Hick and Pit going to be released to the community? And I think that if I remember correctly, that all three COCs, particularly the South and the rurals, I think that I can only speak for the rurals because I'm I'm coordinator for the rurals, but I know that we won't be releasing the data until after we get validation back from HUD, from the data that had been turned in. But if I remember correctly, I thought all three COCs said that's kind of where we were leaning. Is that correct? Do I remember that correctly?
Thank you. I kind of brushed over that because I felt like it was just meaty conversation, but absolutely. It came up of when we could be prepared for media releases. And yes, Michelle, you and I know, especially with your history here in Southern Nevada, that it could be July before we're really willing to speak to the media. We've tried the transparency route of like, this is tentatively what we have, and I don't care how many draft watermarks you put on a document, but the media will chew it up and spit us out for it. And so, yeah, I think July would be the earliest, but definitely kind of waiting for that final approval, like, okay, you're good, we won't question you anymore. And then, you know, we'll put together a summary doc and post it online. And Katrina agreed.
Thank you for that. Any questions for Brenda or myself on the statewide COC meeting? Now's your chance. Y'all were asking about what happens at our statewide COC meetings. Dr. Janelle.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I just want to say thank you for this very comprehensive overview. I was like one of the people who asked for it only because I was confusing all the COCs. So I appreciate all of the help with that. If you wouldn't mind, could you repeat when the next pit count will be occurring? Because I know we went to, you know, every other year versus every year annually in the past.
Yeah, great question. I'm also going to make a little bit of a clarification. We only committed to skipping last year. We haven't committed to a biannual yet. And I'll admit it, it was me pulling teeth to get folks to agree to that. At least here in Clark County, you would have thought I wanted everyone's firstborn child to do this. But yeah, so January 29th, 2026 will be a full point in time unsheltered and housing inventory count. So PIT and HIC. HIC is required annually by HUD, but the point in time count is where their language has allowed us to go biannually every 2 years. And so I think I would almost put money on it that the Southern Nevada COC board is going to push for us to go back to every year, which is fine, but this gave us an opportunity to reset and just really like get all the new folks on board and move forward with that direction. And thankfully Northern and Rural kind of agreed to go ahead and skip with us so that we all stayed in sync. Otherwise we were the oddball one asking for the favor. So we appreciate that from our partners.
Thank you, Brenda. And just for clarification, the HIC is the housing inventory count. So that's where we count everybody who's in the shelters and our transitional housing. Because according to HUD, those folks are still considered homeless because it is not a permanent housing placement. Okay, any other questions? No other questions? Okay. Going once, going twice. I feel like an auctioneer here. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us that wonderful report back, Brenda. Appreciate you. We'd love to see your beautiful face at all of our meetings, but I know you have a conflict on most of the days that we have these meetings. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. If you guys change the date, I'm happy to fill out an application for review.
Thank you for that. Okay, so moving on, we'll go ahead and close this agenda item. And we will move on to agenda item number 6. This is for information only, an update on the response from the IICHH Council regarding the prioritized action items and the subcommittee's purpose moving forward. Brooke, would you like to give a quick report back on the presentation, the report out that you did for the council?
Yeah, hi everyone. Brooke Page for the record. So the meeting that was held what date was that? Jeez, it's been a minute now. May. We had an opportunity to give an overview of just kind of the action plan that we've been working on now for a while, and made some really compelling arguments as to the specific action items that we would like for the Interagency Council on homelessness to focus in on and elevate at their level. And we felt like, you know, we've done pretty much what we've been tasked to do as a sub-working group to develop the action plan, and believe that the ball is now in the Interagency Council's court to give us direction on how they would like us to proceed related to the action plan. And you know, there's a lot of work that was put into that document, this Excel spreadsheet, and the information, you know, as far as action steps that need to be taken at all 8 critical sectors that are outlined in the strategic plan. So at this point, you know, we are waiting for the council to give us direction on next steps. We sort of made some recommendations that, you know, we think it would be good if this body was responsible for kind of managing the day-to-day operations of that work plan and kind of understanding who holds certain influence over the action items that are raised depending upon the sector. And, you know, if we could sort of have different presentations at our level and be able to roll up to the Interagency Council some recommendations if there's action items that need to be made or decisions that need to be made. But just feel like, you know, a lot of that work has been held at the subcommittee level, so it would be good if we could actually see this work through. So at this point, we're just waiting on direction from the chair and the committee, but I think that's pretty much what we've done, and at this point we have now a pretty comprehensive workbook that outlines all of our action items. So I'll pause there to see if anybody has any questions.
Brooke, this is Adrienne. Did they give you an, oh, sorry. Can you hear me? Did they give you a time frame on when they might get back to you?
I'm sorry, Adrienne, I heard an echo.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Did they give you a time frame on when they might get back to you?
Well, that body meets quarterly, so I'm not sure when their next meeting is, but I think they kind of gave direction that they needed to review our action plan and our recommendations, and then I think deliberate as a body. I'm not sure if they're going to deliberate in the interim or not, but that I think probably at their next meeting they may have an action item to discuss this more.
So in the meantime, is there direction for this group on what we should be doing?
That's a great question. I mean, I think that's really what we ideally need, that direction from the council. There wasn't anything given to me directly, but Michelle, would love your thoughts since you were on that in that meeting as well.
Thanks, Brooke. Michelle Fuller-Hollauer for the record. So a couple of things. I think their next meeting is in August. I'm kind of looking toward staff support to get a thumbs up on if I got that right. Yep, their next meeting is in August. I know that the action plan, the beautiful action plan and all that, the accompanying stuff that Brooke put together has been sent out to them. So they have that in their hands for review. So hopefully they're taking the opportunity to look at that and review it so that they're ready to deliberate on that and have good discussion at their next meeting in August, so that we can get some solid direction from at their next meeting. In the meantime, the supposition that I have made is that we're continuing to, as Brenda mentioned during her report back from the statewide meeting, the COs, individual COCs have asked me to come out and talk about where we are for the action plan. to each of the individual COCs and to talk about recruitment for this technical assistance committee. So I've been doing that in the interim. And what I thought I heard, and Brooke, I will ask you to correct me if my hearing aids were on the blitz during that meeting and I didn't hear correctly. But what I thought I heard during that meeting was that they did want us to continue to provide, to be an advisory role to them as we move forward for implementation of the action plan. But exactly what that looked like, we would need to, they would need to flesh that out, and like who the specificity of who is responsible for which action items, that needs to be, detailed out as they look at the actual action plan itself.
Yeah, I think that's where, Brooke, for the record, I think that's where getting clear about our role as it relates to the 3 priorities, like we elevated 3 specific areas that we wanted and recommended that the Interagency Council prioritize at their level, to include housing, the work related to services, and prevention. And so those were our top 3 priorities, and recognizing that they didn't want all the things, that they just kind of wanted us to narrowly tailor our action plan. So granted, if that's what we're advising on, supporting them in those 3 high priority areas, I could see that being an important role. But there's still a vast amount of action items in the work plan that weren't prioritized, that I also think could be activities that could be, managed at the subcommittee level, and us working through how we support the COC or how we support local communities with informing the action plan. So don't want to lose sight of all of those different priorities, but it would be helpful to just get clarity from the council on if that's the direction that we need to be moving on. So yeah, that's kind of what I took away. Any other questions or?
This is Adrian. So do you, in your opinion, should we start looking at that plan and identifying like where some of these things could fall or where they're already located? Or do you feel like we need to pause any and all work on the action plan until the council gives us formal guidance, which may not be until August or later?
Very loaded question. Adrian, Brooke, for the record. I mean, I think that we haven't been told not to meet or convene. I mean, I think that, as much that we could sort of continue in good faith to, inform this work that's really important, and make any recommendations on the work that we're doing. I think, having this group pay attention to these issues, I think is important, but I don't want to make a decision that's not in my wheelhouse to make. But no one told us not to convene or not to move forward with this committee. So, I mean, I assume no news is important news to continue the work, but.
Michelle Fuller-Hallauer for the record. Along the same vein, right? So I agree. And given that we got a lot of positive feedback on the work that's been done and recognition on the importance of this subcommittee and the breadth and depth of knowledge and work that we've done and the importance of what we are doing and what we need to do. So I felt that we were validated from the council. So with all of that, I came away feeling that our work is not done, and that I feel that, and this is just Michelle's opinion, right? So, but I think that we would not be remiss if we were to take the action plan and we were to start going through and identifying who do we think makes sense to lead some of that work or to be a partner in some of that work, and having those conversations. Does this make sense? Does this make sense for you all to be a partner or to work on some of this work? Now, the council may come behind us and say, no, we think that this other agency makes more sense to lead it. But I think it would behoove us to, as advisors to them, to help give information, because we are a group of intelligent people that understand what's happening in the state. That's why we are this group. So I think it's part of our job. But again, that's Michelle's opinion. Take that for what it's worth.
And Brooke, for the record, I also think the cadence in which we meet as as a committee, compared to the Interagency Council, I think that should also play into this conversation in terms of the expediency in which things can possibly get, informed, advised. So I hope that's taken into account in their deliberation as well. But hearing no other questions or comments, I think that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Brooke. Okay, any last questions for Brooke or myself? Okay, we'll close this agenda item and we will move on to agenda item number 7, discussion of agenda items for our next meeting on July 15th. So what do we want our agenda to look like for July 15th? Since I'm still doing a push to COCs and others for potential candidates, should we keep the agenda item for discussion and possible vote to fill vacancies on our agenda in the event that we have more applications? I'm getting a thumbs up from Dr. Janelle. We think
Yes.
that we should leave that on as a placeholder in the event?
Brooke, for the record, I agree with that.
Okay. So let's leave that on. What else do we think we should want on our agenda?
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I was wondering if, because we're going to be right into July, I do know that we have members of different groups and coalitions, and then I'm looking at it from the mindful perspective of, the academic school year. July is the month right before school begins. So maybe speaking to some of our coalitions and seeing if they have any reports with anything that is concerning education. I wouldn't mind giving a report on like the updates of the Nevada Department of Education and some of the things that are going on there. So I was just curious to know if we would have like room for that, or if we could invite people who are tied to that and homeless education.
Okay. Would other folks on the subcommittee like to hear about education? How the how education is being impacted, or any other groups other than Department of Ed and Title I that you think we should bring in, Dr. Janelle, or anybody else?
I was either thinking that or like legislative updates. I do know that there are some legislative, we just finished our legislative session, and it would be nice to know and also tie in to the strategic issues that we've been working on and referring up to the council with regards to like kind of like where we are. And it also doubles back into our previous discussion about just continuing to refine and define our role as a technical assistance committee. So I'd be curious to know what you all think.
Okay. Adrian, you had your hand up?
I was going to ask for legislative updates and how it informs the strategic plan. So I feel like Dr. Janelle and I are the same person sometimes.
William, I would love to call on you. Unfortunately, I don't think I can because you're not a member of the subcommittee. I will have to wait and ask you to speak during public comment. Anybody else? We did have a suggestion. I don't know if anybody has heard about the Campus for Hope Foundation. That is, they are building, they're building a 900-bed facility in Southern Nevada. They're slated to open spring, summer of 2027. I think it's a private nonprofit or a private government, I don't remember for sure, combination or partnership that is going on, that is being put together. But a recommendation came forward to see about bringing in Kim Jeffries, who is the president and CEO of that campus, to potentially have her speak to us about what the intention is and how they are moving forward with that campus. My understanding is it's a kind of a replication of some work that had been done in the Haven for Hope in Austin, Texas. So I don't know what folks think about that. If you would like to see about asking her to come in and do a presentation or not.
Yes, I think that'd be a great idea.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I second that.
Okay.
I would like to say, I know that when the governor was redoing the budget, there was supposed to be a match where there was $200 million put toward the project. And it's my understanding it got reduced down to 133 million because of just the constraints on the budget. And so that's why I would be curious to also, do that legislative update so that we can kind of see how each of these pieces and parts kind of fit together, kind of like Legos, because the legislation sometimes drives some of these projects. And so I would like to learn more about that, because that would directly, depending on like the way that the beds are structured, like how many youth will be able to access the beds versus full families versus individuals who will be seeking assistance, in order to, engage in recovery practices and things like that. So I would definitely want to know more.
Okay.
You have the information, Michelle. I have the chief of staff's information as well, if you want to email her and Kim.
If you could shoot myself and Carlia that information, that would be wonderful.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we know anybody that could get, or a couple of somebodies that could give us a comprehensive legislative update?
Dr. Janelle, for the record, would it be safe that like we as a whole group maybe just like do a query on all of the legislation that has to do with either housing or education and housing? I mean, I'm very clear on the educational legislation that went forward. However, since we're the interagency council, I would like to be part of like a group that can at least speak to some of the bills, but I can't say that I have, a full breadth and scope of all of the bills with regards to housing and education and the overlap. So would it be safe to say, could we all just like, speak to or like introduce one and then like maybe, discuss, maybe 4 or 5 or whichever ones were like past that have direct impacts?
I'm okay with that. Katrina.
So I just assigned last week our lived ex specialist, 2 full-time people to go through all the bills to look at the housing, the homelessness, Medicaid, justice involved, use all those bills and create a spreadsheet. So they're almost done. It says what passed, what was vetoed, and all that. So we can have them come and do a presentation. Like they probably can't talk into detail about a lot of them because it's like research and learning the process and being able to speak a little bit on the bills. They can speak about a couple of them that they testified for and assisted with. But it'd be great for them to come and present as our 2 full-time lived ex specialists for Nevada Homeless Alliance on that particular topic. So if you want that, we can get that started.
I think that's a phenomenal idea.
And also I would like to their presentation, if we can share the spreadsheet that they have created. So we're
Please.
missing anything. You guys can assist with plugging some stuff in.
Please.
Okay.
That
Dr.
would be
Janelle, for the
wonderful.
record, Dr. Katrina and
Yes,
Dr.
ma'am.
Deonna Turner, I am so happy y'all are here. I really appreciate that because I was feeling really special. So if y'all don't mind me just breaking from protocol for just a second, and this is to the whole group, come through, y'all. Come through. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Way to do it, group. Way to do it. Okay. Anything else? Sounds like we're getting a good agenda for next month.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, really quick, Madam Chairwoman, given that we have like a lot of great items for the upcoming agenda, I am okay with emailing just a summary of what Nevada Department of Education is doing in terms of like completed projects and things like that, just so that we could save time. Is that okay with the group and with you, Madam Chairwoman?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Is the group good with that? Yeah, if you could get that to Carlia and team, they'll make sure that gets out to us.
Brooke, for the record, I'm wondering if we need on the agenda to welcome our newest members and have them just give we have the ability to like introduce themselves to the committee and us give them a warm welcome. I feel like we might have missed that opportunity today.
Oh, Brooke, you are brilliant and you are right. And I apologize to our newest members for that we missed that on this month's agenda. My sincerest apologies, and we will make sure that we have that at the top of next agenda so that we can make sure that you all have an opportunity to share with us a little bit more about yourselves. So be prepared. You've been given a heads up. And the rest of the team be prepared to share as well so that they can get to know you a little bit better. So we'll do a quid pro quo there. So we'll take just a few minutes at the beginning of the agenda at the next meeting just to share out on each other. So that'll be at the top of the agenda. Okay. Anything else?
Oh, Dr. Janelle, for the record, and I might get in trouble for this, but I was thinking, well, since we have a little bit of room in our public comment, I was thinking maybe we could do that today. But if Madam Chairwoman and the group is okay with waiting till the next meeting, then I belay my last. Thank you.
I don't know protocol for that, so and I don't want Ryan slapping my hand, so he does that enough. So okay, anything else on our agenda for next month? We good? Okay, if anybody comes up with anything else, let us know. Shoot myself and Brooke an email, shoot Carlia and team an email, and we'll see what we can do. So if not, we'll see about putting it on a future agenda. With that, we'll go ahead and close this agenda item, and we will move on to our last public comment. This is agenda item number 8. No action may be taken upon a matter raised until the matter has been specifically added to an agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. If you are making a public comment via phone, please call 1-775-361-6111. The ID number is 489-058-294#. We're now open for public comment. Please unmute yourself and state your name for the council. Bill, now's your time if you have.
Okay, well, if you insist, Michelle. So when the topic of education came up, I'm very much interested in hearing from Dr. Janelle about what's coming from the state towards our organizations and our service providers. But I'm also kind of curious about whether and how the state school system, particularly NSHE, is being considered a partner in this work. So in other words, what contributions might they make back to the work that we're trying to do in this committee in support of the ICHH? So I just wanted to raise that question because in my estimation, from whatever perspective that might be, is that it's really an untapped resource. There are lots of students, there are lots of faculty, there are lots of service learning, community engagement kinds of activities and interests on our university and college campuses that go unaddressed because the connections between our institutions and the state level committees and task forces and guiding bodies and grand poobahs and whatever else just don't really have access to them. I mean, we have a tendency to silo, not because we try to exclude people, but because we're in our work. And I would just encourage exploring that option as NSHE schools in particular, maybe UNR in particular, since I'm speaking from that relationship, could become a partner in this work in some deliberate ways that give students the kinds of opportunities they seem to be seeking to engage with the world around them and try to help make it a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Any other public comment?
Dr. Janelle, for the record, Bill, thank you so much for bringing up such great salient points. I do know, at least at the Nevada Department of Education, we are going to be having a legislative update so that we can kind of also chart a path forward. And I am also curious to see how INSHE, the role of INSHE and what it looks like now in relation to the governor's bill and the education bill that was like combined and passed and things like that, because what that does is it does put us in a position to definitely explore what that path forward would, could, and should look like in terms of not being siloed, because also being a former alum of both universities and a couple of community colleges around here, it's very interesting to see also how the role of our Nevada system of higher education, what is the interplay between those who are either looking at post-secondary education or even certification programs, and what that looks like, and then also what does Nevada Department of Education's role look like in relation to that. So I wouldn't mind, Bill, if you and I can meet a little bit, and maybe I can pull in a couple of other partners in this, because I'm not the end all be all. And, you know, I love having thought partners around this and having some really great conversations so that we can bring that back to our education and workforce development strategic issue that we have developed here amongst our strategic issues. So thank you for that. And I do know we have conferences coming up, so I'm excited about all of the things. Thank you so much.
Happy to do that, Pamela, anytime.
Thank you. Katrina.
I'm not sure if you guys already had someone present on the YHDP when we received the notification that we'll be getting that funding, but those that priority list should be out here soon. And maybe if we have time on the next agenda next month or the next one, have a little brief overview of where that's at. I know it's a really quick turnaround to submit it to HUD after the priority listing comes out, so.
Thank you for that, Katrina. Anybody else? Any other public comment? Katrina, any comment, public comment on or update on the statewide homeless conference?
So this year's conference will be held at the College of Southern Nevada, Charleston location on September, it's not in my brain right now, just drew a blank, 29th and 30th is a Monday and Tuesday. It will be a 1.5-day conference. We are just working on some last minute things. So getting the Hoover or Wova app, however you want to pronounce it, getting that prepared for tickets to go on sale. On the 1st, we should have our first planning meeting on this Friday, I think, to kind of just do a quick overview of the request for proposals to ensure that we're going to be requesting or reviewing proposals that the community thinks is most important during this time. And so more to come here soon. And yes, so again, September 29th and 30th, College of Southern Nevada, Charleston location, 1.5-day event.
Okay. Awesome. Anybody else? I have one. I'm putting on my winged wolf hat for this for this one. And in partnership with Silver Summit, Winged Wolf has a contract with Silver Summit to assist them with their rural expansion rollout. So we will be working with them to making some site visits to our rural communities to discuss what Medicaid expansion looks like in our communities, and partnering with potential housing providers and support service providers. So if there are any providers that, or people who would like to, agencies that, non-traditional agencies that might be interested in that space, that would like us to sit down and have a chat during the next few months, please reach out, and we can have a talk about having a visit. So that's the rural and frontier communities. So not Clark and not Washoe. Anybody else?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, Dr. Janelle, for the record. And y'all, please forgive me. I'm trying so much not to talk so much. But you brought up a really good point. I did want to let everyone know that the Nevada Department of Education, Office of Student and School Supports, and Office of Early Learning and Development, we did finally get the go-ahead to build the statewide homeless app. And I'm telling y'all, my afro done shrunk. I have no eyebrows. But we've literally been going at breakneck speed because the app needs to be fully built by December, because our early learning and development department is actually paying for the build, and then my office will do the multi-year maintenance. And the reason I say that is, just as Winged Wolf, and thank you for going out into the rural and frontier areas, we also want to map resources. So I'm working with Council for Food Security, and I would love you all support. We will be getting like a Google form up, so that if you know of reputable providers, and this also includes churches, to get like that provider list built and vetted, this would probably be something that our agency may or may not be able to partner with. I see your hand up, Madam Chairwoman, and I also see yours, Brooke, so I'm gonna go on mute.
Yeah, Dr. Janelle, let's get together. We just put together a pretty comprehensive resource list for rurals. So, Brooke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brooke Page for the record. CSH is currently conducting a statewide feedback loop that we would love to get feedback from practitioners, organizations that are working with older adults to understand the needs of older adults within the homeless response system, service delivery systems, and the gaps that that older adults are experiencing in Nevada, with the goal of identifying programs and services and resources to address and end older adult homelessness in Nevada. So we have this survey that's open, one for practitioners to complete and one for older adults to complete. And so would love to follow up with you, Carlia, after this meeting, and if we can just get that survey distributed to this body and anybody else. If you all can share it with your networks, the more folks that we get to complete this, the more understanding that we will have in order to address this really important need across the state.
Okay, y'all, I promise this is gonna be the last time I talk. Ms. Brooke, thank you so much for bringing that up. I would love to, help share and get that information out. But I also wanted to share that the YHSI grant that some of our coalitions and NPHY completed, they just completed the Youth Experiencing Homelessness 2-year study. And I know Madam Chairwoman is aware of that. And at any day now, that report, it is like 120, 30 pages of good data. Look at how cool this is going to be, because now not only we could look at each of our strategic issues, but then we can also share this with all of our other agencies. So the work that you're doing, Brooke, the work that you're doing with Winged Wolf, it's all starting to come together. So I just wanted to share that. But what I'll do is I will put together a report because it also goes into building the statewide homeless app. So look how everything's just coming together like Legos. I'm so excited about this, and I can't wait to share that other information. And so if there's anything else that you all would need to share with me that I can get out to my networks, please let me know. Thank you.
All right. Great information, everybody. Anybody else? Great resource sharing, great information sharing. Okay. Last call for public comment. Okay, Carlia, anything come in while we were in our meeting?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So with that, we will go ahead and close public comment. And I want to thank everybody for being on this meeting. I want to thank our technical assistance subcommittee members for being here, for being engaged. I know it's been a short meeting, but I feel like we've had good dialogue. We've had a good meeting. I really hope to see you all on July 15th. And I hope that you all have a safe Independence Day and stay cool during the next month because it's supposed to be really hot. But with that, it is 2:02 and I will adjourn this meeting. We will see you the same bat time, same bat channel next month. Have a great one, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all.